like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, but when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering? Who will you be tomorrow? And what are you today?
Okay, the fan is on a little higher than usual, so a little noisier, and I'll try to remember to speak up when I do speak, because 99 degrees is 70% humidity, and that's not the best thing in the world for me. But it's nice and cool right here in front of things, and I got myself a nice hot cup of coffee, which actually helps cool the body down. And your body doesn't have to work to bring the temperature up to your body temperature. Also, I can actually use the caffeine today. My liver likes it for some reason. And I did not have my weekly cup yesterday. So I like to put a little bit of chopped super dark chocolate on it. Grated. Okay, so for you who are just coming here, first of all, if you're from America, happy 4th of July. Remember that none of us are free until all of us are free. We are living on stolen land, literally, the entire country. We owe it to the land to be good to each other and to the people we stole it from, who have never been properly thanked or respected. So I don't want to get dismal on the 4th of July, but it's not the happiest 4th of July. But I was reminded today not to get pessimistic by reading somebody else's comment after someone else said, I don't feel like celebrating the 4th, which I understood, because that's kind of my mood at the moment. Or say was, really. I'm not celebrating it like a kid, but I am celebrating the people who've been standing up for America, the people who have been tireless in their fight for democracy and upholding the Constitution. We've got Jamie Raskin and people like Letitia James and Senator Whitehouse and Senator Murphy and Senator Blumenthal. I mean, we've got really good reps who are working very hard to protect voters' rights and people's rights and basically just humans. We do have some that are never going to get reelected because they're not supporting the people. They're supporting the old school way of making money. And, you know, after the corruption of this administration, we're so sick of that we're going to change a lot of things when it's our turn. And it's always our turn coming up. We do have the current president to thank for the rise of democratic socialism, which is not anything like communism. It's capitalism, just not insane, out of control capitalism. You know, like making corporations accountable for the damages they cause. That is socialism, democratic socialism. We want them to profit, but not at the expense of the planet or the people, or the water, or the air, or the soil. So make money, but harm none in the process of making it, and we'll all get along. The pendulum always goes. There's a beautiful illustration of chaos and order in a pendulum that's set up on the mountainside. In fact, I think these people periodically set up these beautiful, huge, like bowling ball size pendulums in a row, and they show when you hit them and they start making these waves. And you get to see how they're all very orderly, but with no interactions from anything, no wind, no people, just on their own. That energy moves and it begins snaking, and then it becomes chaotic, but also very orderly, and then it comes back into an order. It's life. So we should not allow the bad spots, the down spots, to be something that actually takes us down. You've got to remember that the kite rises against the wind. When we see outbreaks of insanity like we're seeing now, we also see the light that comes in to change it. So be the light. Be part of it. At least don't condemn it. Don't start letting yourself fall down the rabbit hole of doom scrolling and following people who just spiel hate and disruption and civil war and all that stuff. It's like, that's not what life is about. We have gone past that, or we should be past that, really, honestly. We've been on this planet long enough. Do more so. 50 years ago today, we were celebrating on the streets of New London. We were all part of raising money for the refurbishing of the Statue of Liberty. We were very excited about the unveiling. And I don't remember if the unveiling happened on the 4th of July because I was literally out on the streets and no TV then. And you didn't see TVs at every bar like you do now. But at some point I did get to see it. Now we have a president who boasts that he could blow it up if he felt like it, because he's the president. Okay, there's my glasses. Oh, I just sent a GIF. I'll send her hugs. I got to see pictures of a friend's new dog. The dog is 4 years old, but her owner got cancer, and it looks like with what she's going through or what she might be going through, she can't take care of her dog anymore. So my friends lost their last golden retriever not that long ago, and they just can't stand being without a dog anymore. They've had one in their lives for so many years, ever since I've known them. Matter of fact, they got their first ones around the same time I met them, and they're just wonderful with them. I really work with them and train them, and whenever possible, I turn them into like support animals to go visit hospitals and schools and all that. And they are golden retrievers are just one of my favorite dogs. I've only had one that was a half golden. Well, Biscuit was half golden, half chow, and then we rescued a half golden, half collie. They're just wonderfully good-natured dogs. So I'm so glad to see that they adopted her. It's so hard for a dog to lose their mommy or daddy, and especially as an adult and have to find a new home. This is the most miraculous little piece of china I have. It's taken some drops and just got flung. It's a coffee cup. My coffee cup lid keeps it safe from when I'm splattering paint, spraying starch, or just being clumsy. Also keeps the heat in. And when you've got stuff like cappuccino style coffee made, you want that foam protected. Okay, so back to massaging. Now, it has not really shrunken very much at all. It is coming together the way it should. A reminder, which I had to remind myself in my haste to learn things. I jump in with both feet and hands. My last purse, I made like every mistake possible. I still like the way it came out in general, but I would never be able to give it away, even though I would not give it away. It's just like too embarrassing. But the wool itself, I mean, the shape, I really like it, and it's, I'm not going to waste it. I will turn it into a slouchy bag, which was the goal, but it's going to be neater than it is. What I learned was when you are felting, especially very fine, hard to felt stuff, go toward the middle so that your seams are all correctly made without it being, um, well, actually, you want it to be seamless as possible. And if it touches itself, it's going to make a seam, which is a mistake I made with my last purse. After I iron it, I will bring it back out here to add some wool to it in the needle felting way to cover up a piece I cut off, which exposed the white core. So I'm going to use some colored wool to kind of fill that in. And I just ordered some black cordage, which I hope is going to be big enough. I want to use that as a crossbody strap. We will find out when I get it, because you never know when you're getting something from overseas and you get to see it in person first. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff I need is not being sold in this country anymore. In some cases never was, but, or they're just scarce as hell. Now there's sheep all over the country. Our state, we have actually several farms that are raising sheep and alpaca and llama. I have some llama wool now. I don't have any alpaca yet, but I do have some llama, and llama won't felt on its own. You need to mix it with wool. And I did a test run with it, and it is such a nice addition that it just feels so nice. But it's a hollow hair. It doesn't have any barbs on it like wool does. Just like the viscose. The viscose is awesome. Viscose is bamboo. But bamboo is also very smooth and silky, and it has no barbs. So you kind of have to anchor it down, which is why you see the color underneath here. That's the viscose. And I overlaid it with black. Now, since it's still felting, of course, this white soap is changing the color. We'll start to see more of the viscose coming through, if I properly felt it, that is. All the layers should start to interplay. So you'll see the purple coming up. Now what we're looking at is actually the inside of the bag. When it's turned inside out, you will not be seeing this. But because I'm making it to have a flap, I wanted all sides to be equally decorated. Okay, we're gonna have to get some of the soap out. I don't think we'll use this. Now, inside this is a piece of plastic that's giving it the shape. That's what we're working around. What that also means is that the real decoration is facing the plastic, and I can't touch it directly until I'm able to turn this inside out and work both sides. But viscose is not something you really want to rub, or silk, same thing. These are decorative, and they are going to be too easily wiped up and change their location. But here you're starting to see the felting is taking place. I don't know if you can actually see that, but it's starting to get all intertwined and kind of lacy looking, which is exactly what we want. And I'm going to have to make myself go down into laundry no matter how hot it is, because now my little towels are full of soap. I'm not even going to need to add a sheet of soap. Just do the towels and I'll have all the soap I need. But because this is a very fine merino, I'm a little concerned about using the bubble side down. Some people recommend you don't do that at all. And I did discover if you do it too early, you leave holes. I made a sample. Where's my sample? Oh, here it is. I did this on bubble wrap, and it's only 2 layers of the wool. And when I hold it up, I can see it doesn't look like bubbles, but you can see where the fine fiber is starting to follow the channels and the bubbles were actually coming through. So although I wanted this to look lacy like this, if you want really good coverage, you've got to watch for that. So this, I decided just to skip the bubble side completely rather than risk my fibers getting completely splayed out. This is the wool I used for this project right here. And it's got black in it. Yeah, it doesn't have brown, actually. That's from this one. I got 3 skeins or braids. I don't know what they call it, actually. 3 big hunks of beautiful wool with multiple colors because the way they dye it. So you get all these different shades from black on the outside or well, purple, super black purple to almost white and gray. So it's really a beautiful way of dyeing stuff. I am not familiar with dyeing at all. So I'm familiar with carding wool and I know what to do and all that, but when it comes to the dyes, I'd rather leave that to the experts. It is really understanding your materials and your chemistry. Okay, so the rolling helps this felt. I just want to make sure it's more set before I put it on something really rough, like the bamboo. The bamboo mats make this stuff felt so fast, but when you're working with something that's kind of fragile, you could also tear it apart, and that's the last thing we want to do. But we can see we are starting to get the shrinking. The more it shrinks, the more it's going to curl because the plastic inside isn't really changing, but it's soft enough to curl up with the wool. Now, I don't want this to curl too much because I'm making a purse. Well, I want it to shrink a bit because I want it a little bit closer to a change purse. Something that I could just throw in my regular purse. And have something smaller to carry. Like when I go out to eat, I don't need to carry my large bag that I bring for shopping. I can just throw in the relevant stuff in a smaller bag and carry that in. Also, when this is nice and dry and all, it's going to feel very silky. And the viscose will not only feel silky, it'll look very shiny. Of course, you can't see that right now because it's full of soap and wet. I see a massage from somebody. I might have taken a little too much water out. Yeah, a little bit. Clean time. I'm gonna let my friend know that I'm live right now. Okay. Well, look at that. We are expecting potential thunderstorms. Yay! Come on, thunderstorms. We need some relief to the 70% humidity. Yeah, I worry when my black fiber does not felt properly because we had a little mistake. I got sent a synthetic black wool, and I thought I had removed all synthetics from my collection, other than obviously synthetic stuff that I know what to do with. You can't felt synthetic. So when I see this, I get a little worried. This merino wool is so fine, even though this is actually 3 layers plus, it's more than 3 layers on each side. It feels as thin as just 2. Now, in making a regular purse, I use a filler layer in the middle of, well, a filler, because it bulks up and adds a lot of strength. And I just keep the merino for decorative, adding the color and designs. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this turns out. First time using this wool this way. Also, I'm doing this way because I'm on the larger person I made all my mistakes on. One of the things I learned was no matter what you want to do for your fold over flap, whatever shape, you still need to do the whole thing. What I was doing was doing the shape like all of it on one side, so the flap was included, but the other side I was only doing halfway or 2/3. In any case, since it wasn't whole, it lost its structural integrity and started stretching. We don't want that to happen for obvious reasons. So, like I said, I learned a lot in my last bag because every mistake I did not make in my first 5 purses, I made in that one. I don't know what was on my mind. I think I was just overexcited. I really was looking forward to trying that new wool, which is the same as this one, but over a core to bulk it up. Now, I ordered a gauzy, silky top, kind of like a cover up for summer, just covers your arms, you know, but most of it flares off the back. By itself, as it is, I would not wear it. It doesn't interest me. It's just really, really boring. Plain white. I could have gotten it black, but I figured I'd go with the white this time. If I really like it, I'll get a black one. But I got it so that I could felt it, doing what they call nuno felting, where you put your wool fiber into silk and give it texture and additional beauty. So I figured start with a blank canvas. And I really got the idea from Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. because Charlie recommended I measure myself and I make some clothes, because I would really love to make something to wear besides hats and purses and pockets. So when I went looking for the cordage to be able to use my new purse, I didn't want to make a cordage just look better than what I was making or do make normally with wool. And I thought that would be really strong too, because this is a heavy bag. It's meaty. I really like it. Even with all its screw ups, I really like it. I love the colors. It'd be perfect in autumn. All the autumn colors. It's beautiful. Well, it is starting to feel thicker. Not thicker, but more together. Feels more like fabric instead of loose fibers. And that's the miracle that happens that always impresses me. To take all these loose fibers and without sewing or weaving, use the nature of the fiber, soap and water and pressure, and turn it into fabric. And that just blows my mind. Well, it's a simple mind, I guess. I have to hold my cup in this weird way because my hands are slippery with soap. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna drink it. Okay, and now we are going to try getting a little rougher. Put a dry flange here. This time bubble side up because we're gonna get a little rougher. There we go. Let's see where it's definitely felting now. Good sign. It's safe to get a little rougher, but not too crazy. All that viscose is still on the inside facing plastic. We don't know how well it's been absorbed yet. I would be really sad to take it apart and find all the viscose still stuck to the plastic. And again, I'd probably just use the outside as, or the inside as the outside, if that's the case. Because clearly some of it is sticking on this side. Oh yeah, good, shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. It's shrinking enough that soon I'll be able to cut it open and take out the resist. By the way, I'm not really teaching. I'm doing this because I love to do it and I'm learning. For really good lessons, I would recommend two off the top of my head as Living Felt and Seraphinin yarns or textiles, something like that. I never remember the name, but Living Felt I definitely remember. I've made purchases from them. They have all kinds of instructional videos, all kinds of kits you can buy, supplies. I got some of my stuff from them. Got my viscose from them. Very lovely people. Only problem is for me is their location is Texas, and I pay a premium in shipping. So I found a closer place for some supplies in Pennsylvania. It's still very expensive. But this stuff, I went in person to a town called Groton, where there is a wonderful store called Driftwood Yarns. Highly recommend if you are a knitter or a crocheter or a felter. Although the felting stuff, mostly little kits for needle felters. And it's good for needle felters. Oh, we got a piece of plastic broke through. I think it's telling me it wants out. So let's do it before I end up with a problem here. Fortunately, it actually, this is exactly where I need to cut. Stay above it in plastic. Now, I don't know what I did to that plastic to make it do that. Definitely something I need to watch for in the future. I'm not happening. Look at that. How did that poke through? That's strange. Oh, right here, a little. Must have not realized I cut it by accident. I'll look at them. Definitely change that. Yeah, throwing it is part of the process. Okay, this is what's supposed to be the outside. Okay, so that is the plan. It looks like And remember to put the black on everywhere except the inside, like that. But that's really okay because this is the part that shows. And that is going to be snipped. I wonder if I fold it in. That actually could be okay because you can always pull that out, fold something in there, like a hidden pocket. Okay. Right, this time we do not have seams. That came out perfect. And we just have to heal the edges here. Now my friend wants her purse to have a point. And I don't know if I can really do that without, well, I definitely can't do it without measuring because it's just taking your felt laugh and it's no hands, you know, you can really mess it up. Right there. Now, in this case, we're not going to have any mess up with the colors because I used the same colors on the inside as I did the out. But now we need to felt it up a little more. And now I am going to use the rough stuff. Okay. This one. This squeezes the excess water out and makes this stuff felt really fast. But again, this is my first time really doing this with merino this way, that doesn't have a strong core liner that gives it body. So not really sure how much of this to do, so we're going to just do a little at a time and test it without a whole bunch of pressure. Just not a whole lot of exercise in this one. Yeah, I said this is a wallet, not a purse. It's meant to go in my purse, so I don't want it to be big. I really do want to encourage shrinkage. I just don't want to destroy it because the fibers are so fine. I don't want to go from felting to tearing apart. I like it so far. This is going to be beautiful when it's all washed up. Get all the soap out of it. Bring out the colors with some vinegar. Returning the pH to the wool. Yeah. Okay. Now I just want to hand do this because I think otherwise, if I get too rough with it, it starts to raise the nap. This fiber is just too delicate for much of this. And since this was a very expensive fiber, at least for my budget, I'm going to be very careful about not destroying what I'm making. So the flap is fitting there fine. This is really thin, which is a good sign because when you're putting this on a scarf or making a scarf like this with nothing in the middle, the scarf needs to be soft and flexible so that it drapes nicely. And this has, I would not use this much for a scarf. Actually use one layer less. So this is, yeah, this is gonna be a delight. And I love how the viscose is starting to show all its patterns. As it works with the wool. Okay, let me work on this outside edge. We're gonna need soap and water for that. They call this healing the edges. And I guess one of the things I could do is trim this just a little bit. Little sloppy edges from where I cut it open to remove the resist. I do need my glasses back on my eyes instead of my head. Now I got in some beautiful black silk tassels. So I could get fancy and attach one just to give it some weight when it's folded. Now the last time I made a couple of these, I put buttons on them. So I made a whole button on the top, attached the button on the bottom. One of them was a button I made through needle felting. I made a goldfish and put it in kind of underwater background. That's so cute. My sister likes whimsical things like that, so I made it for her. Actually, I was surprised she was that whimsical. All right. This, and I'd like to. Okay. I like it. I just need to do the final rinses and soak with some little splash of vinegar. And it'll be in my wallet. We'll see how strong it is after it gets banged around in my purse for a while. It could hold a lot if I wanted to turn it into, a little bag. But we're not going there with this one. I said I want something I can fold and throw into my pocketbook. Maybe I will need to put a button on it. Oh, sort of. I won't make that decision right now, though. There's just so much more that must be done first. Okay. What is next? A dry towel. So I have the other one hanging up dry now. So tomorrow is Sunday. I'm expecting a delivery in the morning. I chose the coolest part of the day and hopefully before the storm. Try to give delivery people a break in the weather. I just could not in good conscience ask them to come out this week at all. I wasn't desperate, So hopefully tomorrow will not be as bad. The temperature's supposed to drop. At least it should feel about 10 degrees cooler than it is right now. So have mercy on your delivery people, especially if you can't afford to give them huge tips. I tip okay, but I'm not rich. I can't do better than 20%. And in fact, when it comes to groceries, I can't do it in percentages that way. My bill might be over $200, but I'm only getting 3 grocery bags. So, like, if they can't carry that, come on. Now, I don't know who on earth can afford to pay some of the tips that they recommend. It's bad enough everything is going up on its own. At least they're all making sure that the drivers get 100% of the tip. So actually, I'll just now try to keep cash on me for that. No, that's preferred. So I will be giving them cash in addition to what I already agreed to do online. I know they're not getting stiffed, but I wish I could afford to be super generous. I used to be a waitress. I'm very sensitive to tipping. I believe in over tipping unless the service really sucks. I will not over tip somebody who's been an idiot. Okay, that said, now I know some people would like me to go back to painting. I tried the other day, and I gotta admit, I got bored. I bored myself. I made a mess. I hated it. And I'm looking at it over here, I'm going, ugh, what was I thinking? I just wanted to play with color. That was it. But creativity, I want a new challenge. See, I love doing art, and I give it all away. But money is harder to come by, let's face it. And I'm definitely on a limited income. So I decided, now that I'm learning how to do this, to invest in myself. I'm making gifts, definitely. But I'm also just looking at what can I do to add to my own wardrobe. Since I don't sew, but I can felt now, it's given me inspiration like I haven't had since I was, well, 50 years ago when I was a musician, and looking actively for things I could wear on stage that would be comfortable, not mess my playing up, but also, expression of my creativity. It's really hard to find. My signature look had a wide brimmed felt hat, usually with a feather or a scarf. And I couldn't have things that would hit the back of the guitar, or things on my hands that would catch the guitar strings or scratch the surface of my guitars. So I was limited, but I was also an artist, a craftsperson doing custom egg decorating. And I had flat back Swarovski crystals that I used to glue to my face. Now, these were the years of Kiss and all of that. I did not do any music like Kiss. Although I was in a rock band and I did sing some Judas Priest. I was more on my own, more bluesy, folksy, jazzy, rockabilly, that kind of thing. Definitely not Kiss. But when you get on stage and people are staring at you, like here. Obviously, I don't give a shit anymore because I don't do my nails. And anybody who's got their hands in the spotlight all the time really should take better care of her nails. But I find that they're growing faster, breaking more, and I can't afford to get them done by somebody else, and I am a klutz. So I usually end up painting one hand and I never get to the second hand. So it just looks absurd. So there are some limits to doing the online thing now. But when I was on literal stages with literal audiences that I could see in front of me, you do need to have some pride, and you do need to wear a lot of makeup because the lights kind of white you out. If you think I'm whited out by this light, you should see me with spotlights, or anybody with spotlights. You're blinded. You don't see the face features anymore. So my makeup always was more exaggerated than I would wear in regular daily life. So a lot of eyeliner, mascara. I didn't wear false eyelashes, though. They weren't that popular back then. They were hard to stick on, and they looked stupid if they started falling off while you were working. And the way I sweated when I performed, yeah, I couldn't have kept those on anymore. But yeah, you needed to stand out. And in the summertime, halftime bathroom break usually meant going to the bathroom with a blow dryer to dry yourself off, fix your hair, and take away the Alice Cooper makeup look because you sweated so much, your makeup started blurring, and you've got to fix that or you look silly. In my kind of music, you look silly. When I first started out playing clubs, and when I say clubs, I don't mean like big clubs, I mean little pubs, bars, some restaurants that had alcohol. I was a solo actor, just solo performer to start, and then got turned into duets and trios and finally rock bands. But actually not in that order, although solo was first. You gotta change with your music and the times and your locations, but these were just small places. I was a small fry, and I got to be a big fry in a small pond, so like everybody knew me and I was in the paper a lot, but I was still nobody. Nobody knew me. Do you know me? No, you don't. Well, you could have been following me for 18 years on the shows that I've gone from station to station, but that's about it. I will leave nothing behind me but shadows. But don't worry, I'll be whispering in your ear, whatever you call me. Okay, so what are we going to do now? I have a bunch of, I don't want to call them scraps anymore because they're kind of expensive scraps. I do have a need for bookmarkers. I have people walking up to me in the hall saying, I love those bookmarkers. Thank you so much. And if they just picked one up, they wave it. So I really do like making people happy. And if I have excess something, I'm willing to share. So I've been making bookmarkers, and it looks like I've got a lot of stuff to make bookmarkers from. This is so soft. Now, this is that expensive stuff. I'm not sure how much I want to use in bookmarkers because this is a substantial piece. Let's take a look. Also got a big piece of aqua blue Corriedale. I'm not using that in bookmarkers. I need all my aquamarines, my blues right now. I'm saving them up for the big project. I wish I could tell you. I could tell you, but I wish you could feel how soft this is. It's the kind of thing you go, well, it's not silk, but I wouldn't mind wearing something made of that. Have you ever just seen something that makes you go, oh, I'd like to try to make that. I'd like to do that. When you go to a museum and you see statues, do you want to chisel? You want to play with the stone or clay? I think more people get those urges than are willing to admit it. Because people, as soon as they get those ideas, they think if they're not raised well, they think, oh, I can't do that. Oh, they talk themselves out of it. It's going to be too expensive, or they're going to stink at it, or they don't know anything about it. They undermine their inspiration immediately. And that's why we don't see as much creativity as actually people are capable of. It would be nice to see more people just say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. My first art material was an empty eggshell. And I was, oh my goodness, 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. At that age, I spent a lot of days with my grandpa because he was up as early as I was because he was a baker. He had to be at the bakery, which was a train ride and a bus and train ride away and a walk every morning. So he was up very early because he was also a very religious man. And he would go to temple every morning. And he would still be in temple because they would perform the service as the sun was literally rising. And he couldn't leave me alone because he didn't want to piss off his wife, who he hated, my grandma. Yeah, I knew that even then. They argued about divorce from the time I was born till the time they died. The only thing that stopped the argument was my grandma croaking and Papa finally getting some peace. But Papa used to take me to the synagogue and we would sit there. Of course, I wasn't supposed to be sitting with Papa because it was Orthodox and the males and the females were separated, which I think is pretty stupid. But there you go, religions. But nobody gave me away because I was an unusually good child. I was the quietest kid they ever met. I did not ask questions that they could hear. I just did whatever Papa did. If he got up and davened, so did I. I had no clue why. But I did love the music. The cantor singing always spoke to my spirit. What really got me was the basic vibration. That's one thing all kids are very sensitive to. They don't need language to interpret vibes. They feel them. And I felt them because those people were sincerely God-loving people. And their whole goal was to please God. Now, I did not understand all of that. I understood God because they gave me the concept very, very early. I was also verbal very early and reading very early. So, I wasn't quite your average 2 or 3-year-old. Nevertheless, I was also still a kid, and later on became more of a kid. But I was very well behaved, and nobody bothered me until I got tall enough to see over the top of the pew. And then the rabbi noticed I was a girl. I immediately was sent to the balcony with the other females. And the first thing I noted was I did not like it up there. Those old ladies smelled like mothballs, for one thing. They're all whispering. They were gossiping up there on the balcony. Oh, it pissed my little girl heart off. I wanted to pray. I wanted to commune with God. Because I used to sit there, have my own conversations, and say my own version of prayers, which I couldn't do with these old ladies whispering. And they all had something to say to me because I was the little girl. I was the only little girl up there. They really were curious about why I was the only little girl up there. Where was my mother? Where was my father? Why was it my papa? Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got to know everything, right? And I just found them to be noisy and annoying and unpious. I was a judgmental little kid. So I stopped going as soon as I was able to get away with that. Again, they didn't want to leave me alone. I did eventually convince my papa, to just leave me alone with the book and I would be fine until Nanny woke up. There was a reason I was telling you the story. I don't remember it now because I was just absorbed back into the wool. I had inspiration. I found being left alone extremely inspiring. In fact, I learned to appreciate being alone so much that later it was hard for them to get me to socialize. It's like, I don't have time for these other children. Which is funny because I was watching Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon Cooper, of course, he's infamously incapable of normal social behaviors, at least for most of his youth. I kind of felt like him when it came to the quality of my playmates. I was such a serious little child after the age of 6 that I just didn't have patience. I did not have interest in playing with dolls. I didn't have interest in reading comic books, although I ended up reading some, so I didn't have to play with dolls. And as I spent more time reading, just reading and playing my piano, I just kind of got bored by kids my age. Okay, it was always books. Lots and lots of books. All right. I want this to be. Oh, I got this gorgeous black, not black, cocoa brown viscose. I think I'll just throw some in here for the hell of it. See if it comes up. Since we've got another layer or two to make over this, this should come through. Kind of cool. Make this crinkle a bit. All right. Now let's throw some purple. Let's use some purple out. This purple is not something I purchased as purple. This was a needle felting kit sample. So it's more bunched up and it's more coarse. Excellent for needle felting. One of the most important things to remember if you are trying wood felting is that it has to be crisscrossed so that the fibers interlock. You know, like weaving. You've got the warp and the weft. One goes one way, one goes the other way. They form a fabric together. So ditto for this. This here, over there. And this beautiful drama. Now this is gorgeous merino. This is more of a high-end wool like this. $19 micron, very fine. Just throw a little bit in there. Maybe I should use red. We'll skip the red because I've had some issues with the red bleeding. I don't want that. I've got the light salmon. I'll just finish it with that. I might be up all night with this coffee this late. It's so good. And since I pretty much had a lazy day all day, I made myself food a couple of times. But I did not get up and do the laundry like I was going to, which means I still have to do it tonight. But at least I don't have to leave the building. I'll take that out. Although that does go with it, it won't go with these. So we're just leave it for now. Now, one of the things I like about making bookmarkers, aside from them being able to be pretty much anything, because I'm just making bookmarkers that people are taking with them when they borrow a book and never bring back. So I don't want to invest too much time or money into making bookmarkers. However, you can felt the hell out of them. The more, the better. And that part is fun. I love seeing what kind of texture I can bring out in it. Okay, we've got 2 layers. Technically, they will knit just fine, but I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna add a little bit of a 3rd layer because I'm gonna toss some other viscose on it. Just for fun. I don't color do I have. We're gonna go with silk. I do not have a pink viscose or a purple, and I really like to use those colors on something similarly appropriate. We've got apricot silk. Not bad. Crazy. Apricot with gold. That's interesting. Now this is upcycled silk from taking apart saris. Saris made of silk, as you might imagine. It's very, very fine. It takes a lot of silk to make a sari. So when they are done wearing them, they basically shred them back into fibers that can be braided and knotted and sold to decorate other items, because you can't untangle it to the point where you can weave it again. Now the gold is harder to felt. It does look cool though. And none of the silks actually felt in the process of felting, as it's known. We can make it stay on the wool by basically tacking it down with some more wool. And the cool thing about that is when this starts shrinking, we get all kinds of puckery texture. And that's the fun part. And when this piece of felt is done, it's going to be cut up into big markers. So each one will be unique. But, cool. And now people are looking forward to seeing what's in the library this week. So this week it's going to be this. I think that's enough. So you've got to make it stay down. Okay, and now that's too pink. I'm going to pull some from the unused, unscrap collection. Let's get a little of this absolutely stunningly gorgeous purple merino involved. It should not take much. But just in case we need a little more, we have this stunning merino lavender. Now, driftwood yarn has small amounts of yarn for felting in kits, but unfortunately, it's only a few grams of each color, which again is beautiful for needle felting, perfect for needle felting, perfectly crappy for wet felting. I mean, it's nice quality. I could get some and use it for backing up my other stuff, but it's not really economical that way. I don't want to be buying wool by the grams when I need to buy like 4 ounces at a time of each color so I can complete a project. Okay, so what we're doing with this, we're going the other way again. But this time, we're not going to cover the whole thing quite the same way. We're just trying to hold down the silk. Very spread out. I don't want to have too much wool to impede the process of the silk showing through. But if there's not enough wool to hold it down, it'll fall off, which is definitely don't want that to happen. And you can get as wispy as you want. I'm going to practice being very, very wispy because the project I'll be working on, the big one, is the 100-year-old chiffon, not chiffon, gauze silk, which is falling apart because it's 100 years old. So I'm going to turn it into a cobweb scarf. And that requires super, super wispy, like barely any fibers there to hold together. And you do it with a layer of the wool on each side of the scarf. So the scarf becomes a sandwich. And I can't wait to work on it. I now have the correct wool for it. I just have to, I can't do it here. It's so fragile, I can't roll it up to make up for my lack of space. I have to do it in the community room where I have a big table and I can lay the whole thing out at once. Good, good, good. Super fine. You're not super fine. Super fine. As airy as possible. Not airy enough. Air out. Now, I have no idea what this is going to look like when I'm done. This is it's changing as we're going. I think we have just enough there, and let's take a little teeny bit more. I think we've got it. Okay. I hope we've got it. Ah, here it is. The magic cloth. Make sure I don't mess everything up. Now that I've laid everything where I want it, I need more soap. So I want this pile of fluff and silk, oops, to come out kind of like this. It'll be nice and strong. Although this is Corriedale yarn, so, or wool rather, so it's gonna, this is way heftier than this is. You see how the silk moves through the wool? That's what we want to achieve with this. Aloha. You must get everything soaking wet. The wool must be hydrated or it won't move together. This will make about 8 bookmarkers when it's all shrunk and cut. Felting operates on the same principle as we have experienced when we're young and we do our laundry for the first time and we wash and dry a sweater that's made with real wool. We know that when it comes out, it's fit for a doll. It will never fit on a human again. That's wool. Its natural tendency is to, and we count on that, to together to become felt. Now, when I'm doing a purse or something else or a patch, I would be working like this to get those edges more even. The bookmarkers, I kind of like to have the raw looking edges. It just looks cool to me. It shows the nature of the wool. Stay down. Now we took a whole bunch of this purple up. Let's see if we can get it to lay back down. I wanted to get some of these edges not even, but it's back on the plastic. There we go. Yeah, the merino is very thin, very delicate, and they're perfect bookmarkers. You don't want a lot of bulk with a bookmarker after all. You just want something strong enough to endure being taken from page to page, and maybe possibly yanked out. Come on, stay down, I need you to go. In. Now here's the issue of the bubbles being very big compared to the fiber. So too much water is just going to make it swim in the channels of the bubble wrap. That's what we don't want. Come here, little. Come here, come on. I need to roll this over a little. I want to give it a little bit of an edge here. That's better. It takes about 5 minutes of doing this by hand, I think, for the average felting to really begin.
Being difficult.
just curl up a little on the edges. Like there. It's a little bit like clay when it's first starting, in a good way. Except it doesn't dry out your hands the way clay does. Also, it doesn't need to be fired, which I like. But it still has some of the tactile kind of a feeling. A little squashy, a little smooth, like you're smoothing out clay. All right, I'm going to want to flip this over, if I can get it all off here, onto the smooth side of this bubble wrap. But I'm going to make it stick to the first one first. And then be nice. Yep, you're not being nice. Stay down. There we go. Yay. Yes, you have to be very gentle with it when it starts starting to felt or full. Now there's some viscose. It's starting to already show signs of being picked up to shrink, but I don't see any wool really over it. That may not hold up. So if you're an American, I hope that you are escaping the heat but having a good 4th of July. Any way you prefer to celebrate it, if you're celebrating this year. feels like silk. And it's starting to become fabric. Still fragile, especially on this side. Air out. Air between the fibers is your enemy. You do not want air there. It prevents felting. We're getting there. We will have this finished within 10 minutes, I believe. We're going to roll it this way with this on, because I want to prevent damage. Let's see how do I do. Now this is all smooth on the inside. All the bubble wrap is outside. Better. I think it's safe to get a little bit rougher with this. I hope. I hope. beautiful stuff. Now this side is much better felted already than the other. Almost there. So we're doing well. Well, it definitely resembles fabric now more than loose fibers. Let's see how these sides turn then. A little silk. All right. The gold is starting to come through. And the peach silk is not really showing up very well. I think it'll show more when we do some heavier felting. Right now, I'm still being kind of gentle. It's surprisingly thin. This special wool I just bought. All right. Time for the rough stuff. We got some orange there. Okay. Sip of coffee first because, oh my God, it's almost 5 o'clock, which means I've got to stop drinking coffee after this. So. When you only have 1 cup a week, you really appreciate it. Oops. The bamboo makes this dry super fast too. Watch that. "40 rolls in each direction." This is the one that's a little trickier because I'm gonna go sideways. Can't fit it all in this mat. Let's do it piecemeal. Say hello. I'm waiting to say hello to Mr. Gary and Doc. I don't see them yet today. And I forgot to let them know I'm on. Shrink it up, shrink it up. I wonder if I could use 2 mats simultaneously. So we have a little size problem here. As you know, we don't want to tear it. Dry, too dry. Okay, we got some good shrinkage on it. Our fibers are adhering very well. It'll be more obvious after I wash all the soap out of it. Look at that. I'm impressed. Well, after washing, some of that might lift, but not bad. Okay, future bookmarkers. So we did do a couple things today. We finished this project. Well, not quite. I have to wash it and give it the vinegar soak. So this is going to just be a fold over wallet for me and bookmarks for our books, our library. So have a wonderful rest of the holiday. Aloha. And to everybody else, darlings, have a great night.